really don't. What's up, insane rhetoric? What's up, insane rhetoric? You know what time it is. The world is upside down and we're trying to make it right side up. It's that time again. Listen, listen. Are you ready for the show on today? We're going to have a good show. Listen, we got another guest. Y'all know him as the token one.
Yeah, I'll change that.
Also,
No,
we
don't
got
change that.
Ice. You know
You don't
her
have
as
to.
the fight. Don't change what?
He
What
want
is
to
you
change
talking
his
about?
name.
Oh, change.
He
Okay,
don't have
so
to change his name.
okay, so no, you don't have to change your names. Just leave it the same. We know who you are. This
Well,
dude is
you
so
officially know.
this dude is so silly. So listen, we talking about a serious issue on this morning. So we want you to just sit back and relax and just enjoy the ride. Just be aware, like some of the content could be offensive to some people, but it's an issue that is prevalent in the United States and the world. So just sit back, relax, enjoy the ride of insane rhetoric, and let's get into it. Let's go get it, y'all.
So, just to reiterate, today's show is, um, I know, X-rated. I know that's saying a lot for insane rhetoric,
That's
but
that's like putting a PG-13 in
yeah,
this spot like this.
we. But this is an adult show anyway. It is an
Absolutely.
explicit show anyway. But today, be very mindful that we are going to be talking about very adult situations, even though this particular topic will hit teens, but just it's explicit today. So 18 or older, please. 18 or older. Don't listen
Yeah.
to this around your children in the back seat. Okay, so today's topic, we're going to talk about alcoholism. Um, so I don't know if y'all knew, 85.6%, 85.6% of people ages 18 and older have reported that they drank alcohol at some point in their life. So 18 or older, for sure. We know there's some younger, but 18 or older, they say, well, they've drank. 69.5% reported that they drank in the past year. 54.9% of men in the age group of, in the same age group, and 51% of women in the same age group reported that they drank in the past month. Okay. Binge drinking and heavy alcohol use. 25.8% people ages 18 and older, which is 29.7% of men, 22.2% of women reported that they engaged in binge drinking in the past month. 6.3%, that's 8.3% of men and 4.5% of women reported that they engaged in heavy alcohol use in the past month. Okay. High intensity drinking is defined as consuming alcohol at levels that are 2 or more times the gender specific binge drinking threshold. Okay, so compared with people who did not binge drink, people who drank alcohol at twice the gender specific binge drinking thresholds were 70 times more likely to have an alcohol related emergency. Like go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
And
Alcohol
those who
poisoning.
consumed alcohol at 3 times the gender specific binge thresholds were 93 times more likely to have alcohol related emergencies. Alcohol use disorder 14.5 million people ages 12 and older have alcohol disorder. Okay, y'all. Okay, here we go. Let's break it down. Ages 12 and older. 14.5 million. It breaks down to 5.3% of this age group had alcohol use disorder. This includes 9 million men, 5 million women.
The statistic.
Let me one more. Just give me one more. 12 to 17, ages 12 to 17. Adolescents 12 to 17. 163,000 males, 251,000 females. Go ahead, Matthew.
Now the statistics are insane. And good morning, everybody. For those who may or may not know, my name is Matt, and I am an alcoholic. Grateful to be here this morning and being here with my brother and my sister. Alcoholism is something that has affected my life, and it took over. It took reins, and it controlled me. And now I don't live my life like that. I started working on sobriety at it was on November 14th, 2020. My mom had found me in my apartment. She knew that I've been battling with it for a while, and I was about 2/5 of vodka in by 2:00 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. I was drinking to absolute excess, and I was using it to numb myself and cope with the struggles that I was going through. And the next day, she asked me if I would do an AA meeting with her. I'm the only alcoholic in my family. Fortunately, that they don't have to struggle with that, just the stuff that I put them through. I've been hospitalized many times for dumb stuff. I remember collapsing in the shower 12 hours after my last drink from alcoholic withdrawal. My legs were shaking uncontrollably. It felt like there was a rat in my body trying to run and figure a way out. My muscles were spasming. I literally couldn't walk. I had to pull myself up out of the shower and call 911 and put me on drugs. So the withdrawal, there's only 2 drugs that you can actually die from withdrawal, and one is alcohol and the other is benzodiazepines. Interesting enough, benzodiazepines are what they prescribe you to get you through the withdrawal. So I did 25 milligrams of Librium twice a day for 7 days until I could make sure I wasn't going to have like a seizure or have the absolute worst withdrawals again. So just kind of interesting to know that fact.
So what age were you when you started drinking, Matthew?
I came from a pretty decent family that can drink normally. I started experimenting with alcohol probably when I was 16, 17, 18. And then I went off to college, and all of a sudden I find myself in the most popular fraternity down there.
Don't tell me it was Sigma Nu.
Sigma Chi.
I got a story about Sigma Nu. I tell y'all another time. Sigma Nu, that's my favorite white boy group. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, I was in a very popular fraternity at Southeast Missouri State, and then I was playing rugby. We were sponsored by a big time alcohol distributor, and then on top of that, I started bartending at the busiest nightclub. So I was literally surrounded by alcohol, and I didn't know how to do anything but drink because I was surrounded by it. It became my identity. I was like the fun guy on campus who could, always get it, always have it. We were always at parties, get-togethers, matches. It was insane. It was nuts. And I used it in my successes. When I graduated, if I got a promotion, I'd drink. If I got fired, I'd drink. If there was anything positive or negative, I used it for whatever, either a celebration or to numb it.
It's kind of ironic that alcohol addiction is the number one drug in the country. You know, it surpasses actually heroin, crack cocaine, um, methamphetamines, it whatever. Is because it's so tangible to get, and it does so much damage. First of all, I commend you for, you know, going through what you had to go through where you are today, because the sad part about it is some people don't make it to these different platforms because they don't take the time to get the help that they need, and that is one of the biggest things that you have to have. I commend your family for even coming to you, because sometimes people don't receive that in the state that they're in. And so I commend you and your family for just walking with you, man, because that's a day at a time situation. And I can say, hey, I'm proud of you for doing it, because what would the world be without Matt? You know what I'm saying? So so I commend you for that. But as my co-host was saying about the numbers are staggering. And anytime you can have, when the medical community has a disorder and it is so bad that they constitute a disease at a certain point in time. You know what I'm saying? Because alcoholism is a disease, just not an addiction. It is a disease, medical standpoint, because it affects so much of the mind and the body itself. You know, I mean, we've now been in parties where we didn't seen the person that can't hold it together because they didn't had too much. We didn't seen that. And we didn't seen how their attitude changes. So just imagine if you're dealing with you're in a household and somebody has an issue with alcoholism, it just does not affect the person that is drinking. It affects everybody around them. You know what I'm saying? If you have a bad disposition when you're sober, you can imagine the disposition that you would have when you're intoxicated, because it just heightens who you are. You know what I'm saying? And I just, the people at Insane Rhetoric, whatever the situation is, if you have this problem, there are people that can help, you know, and get the help that you need so you don't succumb to certain situations. Because I know we're going to branch out into a whole bunch of different avenues that was worse for some people than others, you know. So I don't know what to say outside of that. There help, you know, for those people who want the help, but you gotta first want it.
So I want to speak to the opposite side of that. Um, so in my family, there were alcoholics. Um, but um, I wasn't around them that closely. So we knew they were alcoholics. I wasn't around them that closely. I did not have that type of experience that Matthew's talking about his family until I was I must have been, I think I was in my mid 20s, and I had an experience with someone who was addicted to drugs, and um, it led me to be, it led me to a violent hatred, worse than punch him in the throat.
Hmm.
Okay, like you couldn't even let me know you had even had a problem because it was just bad. And so I met a young lady who had a drug addiction, and I cussed her out the first time I met her. People suggested that I go to Al-Anon for my problem, right? I went to one Al-Anon meeting and swore I'd never go again. For me, Al-Anon didn't work for me because I did not want to sit there and listen to after one time. I didn't need to know that there were people like me. I didn't want to hear your problem with your child. I didn't want to hear your problem with your husband. I didn't want to hear your problem because I had my own problems that I was trying to get over. It wasn't helping me to get over it like that. So after a while, me and this young lady became friend-like. And but we could do that because we never talked about her addiction. So one day she said, "Hey, why don't you come go somewhere with me?" And so I went, and when I got there, she said, "Okay, so I brought you to a AA meeting." And I said, "Okay, I'm not supposed to go in there." She said, "Well, it'll be all right. Just do you promise you're not gonna take people's stories out of here and whatever? And if you know somebody in here, you're not gonna." And I said, "Okay." So she takes me inside, and she introduces me, and she tells them why she brought me. And then they ask me to tell my story. So I got up and I said, "My name is, and I'm not an addict." Okay, they laughed. I told my story. What was interesting was that as they began to get up one by one to tell their story, when they would finish their story, they would turn around to me and say, "I know you're not my family member. I know you're not my wife. I know you're not my girlfriend, whatever. But would you please accept my apology? I can never go back to them. I've tried to make amends. They won't let me go back. Would you please accept my apology?" And what was interesting was that was what I needed, was an addict to say to me and to validate for me that they had done these horrible things to me. And so now is why I can sit here with Matthew and love on him like a brother, because I had that type of experience. Al-Anon didn't work for me. I'm not telling y'all not to go to Al-Anon. What I'm telling you is that it did not work for me.
Well, certain people require certain things. I mean, when you go back and you listen to Freud, the great philosopher, and and how he had to figure out what was going on with him first before he can actually help anybody. Because what they don't know, that a lot of people don't know, is that Freud was a manic depressant. And from some of the things that he experienced in life, Albert Einstein, same thing. He just in certain things they function well, in others they fell apart. You know, so you just gotta know who you are and what will work for you at that time. And this, like I say, I'm feeling this show because we all, I don't care who you are, have experienced some type of relationship with somebody you know that's either addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, or maybe have bipolarism, manic depressant, it doesn't matter. It's all the same, and it requires a lot of help. Like say, years ago, I found out that one of my relatives had experienced a horrific thing growing up. And basically, what it was, he found out he actually seen his best friend rape his sister, kill her. And he went off the deep end. And when I say the deep end, his mind completely snapped. And he has never been right since. And he has fallen into depression, bipolarism, alcoholism, and drugs for years. To this day, I mean, I think he would probably be about 70. And just a lifetime of in and out mental hospitals, a lifetime of trying to what we classify as self-medicate, which does not work. It does not work. Um, you have to know that somebody has to help you walk through with your issue. And the funny thing about it, I'm not trying to be funny or be condescending. It just doesn't affect one group of people. It affects everybody. It doesn't affect just one level of educated people. It affects everybody. I had an uncle who recently passed away, who was a writer from Harvard, and he also graduated from BYU. He dealt with depression all his life. You know, the last time he went into a spell of depression, he was there for 20 years. 20 years of being depressed in just that situation when he wouldn't come out the house. He wouldn't he wouldn't go places and take phone calls from even his family. Now, I later got to talk to him about different situations and found out like the things that affect and cause him to have this chemical imbalance. But the problem with him was he knew that, he was intelligent enough to know that, but he wouldn't even take his meds to keep him level. So, and still he did an injustice to himself because he didn't want to take the medicine for that, you know. And so everybody around him, his wife, his family, was always affected by that, you know what I'm saying? Because he it wasn't the person that they know. And I'm telling you this and I'm saying this because alcoholism, drug addiction takes us out of our character. It takes us out of our character. Our character, it is not who we are. You know what I'm saying? We got to get past, oh, this is our representative. This Matt is the fun person that drinks a lot, or Ronnie is the fun person that be around this and that. No, that is not who we are. That is the presentation that we're putting on when we feel that we need to do these things. But that's not who you are. So I understand. I have people that I have been around who deal with all types of disorders. I mean, so it is nothing that is just ethnicity specific. It happens to everybody. The great Gandhi struggled with depression. So, I mean, it all just depends on your perspective is and what your trajectory is on what you want to do concerning your life because you can change.
So I'm getting these statistics, by the way, just in case you want to check me, fact check me. I'm getting these statistics from the National Institute on Alcoholism, Abuse, and Alcoholism. Uh, One of the things they have reported as to why people become alcoholics is drinking age, early drinking age. Um, and someone who started drinking before the age of 21 is typically more likely, not that's not the only reason, but they are typically in the numbers more likely to become alcoholics, 5 times more than the person who starts at age 21. The other thing is genetics and family history of alcohol problems. Heredity is approximately 60%.
Yeah.
Okay. So your genes sometimes can take you there. Parental drinking patterns can also influence the likelihood of a child who would one day become an alcoholic. So I saw I saw that happen play out. I recently watched Fosse Verdon on Hulu. It's about these two dancers, famous dancers, Bob Fosse and Gwen Herndon. And their daughter, Nicole, became a drug use alcoholic, all the drugs you could do kind of person, like her daddy. Okay. She even told him how she almost fell off a roof one day, getting high with her friends. And she would take her daddy's drugs and smoke her daddy's cigarettes. And no one ever got help for her until she was well into her late teens. But the third thing that is listed here is mental health conditions and a history of trauma, which you, Fire, have already kind of touched on. But this also includes depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, ADHD. Okay, these are all commingled with alcoholism. And I can see where ADHD would be because it's about focus. If you think that alcohol is making you focus, slow down and focus, then that's what you're going to when you're self-medicating.
Yep, absolutely. So I have a question. I have a question for you, Matt, if you don't mind answering.
Anything.
What actually propelled you to start drinking? Like most people can go back and say it was a bad home environment, it was this, it was that. What made you turn the corner to start drinking?
That's a really good question. I kind of touched on this last week inadvertently, but I was never like Mr. Popular. And alcohol, I started finding out, especially in college, I was getting a ton of attention. I was having fun. I was like the big man on campus. I was the fun guy to be around. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Like it just took me out of my shell that I had in high school. And I felt like I was like a rock star. Like I lived my life like a member of Motley Crue, none of the fame or fortune. But that is what propelled me. It was exciting. I was finding myself in situations where I just felt like I was lucid. I was fun. I was just outgoing. It's a lot. And then, after COVID hit, I was struggling as, in my business, and I just had a broken engagement, and I used to be the life of the party up until about three years ago. And then that last year or so, man, I went from the opposite. I went from here talking to everybody, drinking at the pool, to literally self-isolating in the darkness of my apartment by myself. I would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had to pop 3 shots of vodka that I already had in my nightstand just to like level out. I was walking my dog around the apartment complex. I was puking on the side of my building because I was so just messed up inside. My body was not functioning. And guess what? The solution was to drink more. And I would just keep drinking, pass out, wake up, drink again, go to sleep, repeat cycle. You know, when it got so bad that the day that my mom found me, I shouldn't say found me, but she came to my place because she was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
She went through my apartment and she went through every nightstand, drawer, box, closet, you name it. She found 150 something airplane bottles of vodka. They were empty. Now, if you think about this insanity, if you live by yourself, why don't you just throw them in the damn trash can? But when I had people over and I was entertaining for a while, I didn't want them to know how bad my problem was because I knew I had one and I was starting to figure it out. So she found all these empty bottles and I woke up to my mom sitting at my kitchen island. I'm like, what are you doing here? She goes, Matt, are you ready? I was like, ready for what? She goes, are you ready to admit that you have a problem and that you need help? And I saw the damage that I had done to her, how scared and upset she was for me. You know, I wasn't going to family dinners. I was making up excuses to not go so I could sit at home by myself and drink. And I said, yeah, Mom. And I started crying and I was like, I'm ready. So the best advice I could give anybody who's struggling is ask for help. Sometimes it doesn't always come to you. Sometimes you got to go to it. And everybody has a different story. And that's one of the beautiful things about Alcoholics Anonymous is you're there with, I've been in meetings where there's 5 people. I've been in meetings where there's 75 people. And some of those people are my best friends now. And I know that sounds corny to somebody who's not an addict. But when I walked into my first meeting, the first time I said, my name is Matt, I'm an alcoholic, I was terrified. I'm like shaking right now. I'm like, it just brings me back. And that's not a bad thing because I have to be scared if I take that next drink again.
Okay, I was wondering because I was just about to say, do we need to stop talking about this? Because I don't need you to go get a drink.
Oh, no. I am life. You guys,
I want to keep liking you.
You guys saw me last weekend at the photo shoot, and I am still a fun son of a gun with or without alcohol. And I think I'm a lot more fun without. But AA, there are open meetings, there are closed meetings. So closed means you have to identify as an alcoholic or at least want help to go. An open meeting, girl I'm talking to right now, she went to a meeting with me. She's not an alcoholic. So there's that. And then there's also men's meetings and there's women's meetings. And, you know, some women love going to, you know, just females, and some men just like going to men's meetings. And the mixed meetings are cool because you get the perspective on everything. But I felt like I was going to be alone. I'm like, nobody is going to understand what I've been through and what my story is. That was my ego talking. Well, after you start hearing 65 alcoholics in a room talk about their story, they're like, oh my God, I've done that. I've done that. I've done that. So you're not unique in that sense, but you're never alone.
Yeah, I agree. For those who don't know or who don't read it, the Bible says that there is nothing new under the sun. Everybody has done something, and it's not new. It might be new to you in your life, but there's nothing new under the sun. Now my next question to you, Matt, was have you ever had any encounters where it came across that you might want to take your life, or anything of that nature? If that's touchy, then we can move, we can leave it alone.
No.
But just asking because we know that some people come to that point in or crossroads in their life where they feel I'm better off not here.
All right, off to the races. I was engaged, like I said, and my alcoholism, my fiance at the time told me she was going to go to bed. And I was like, oh, I'm going to finish this show. That was my excuse to sit out in the living room by myself and sneak more drinks. I felt so awful because I knew I was doing something wrong. And then I had a couple girls send me some pictures that I had talked to in the past on Facebook. And I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning to her holding my phone. And I was so mad. I was so resentful at her for finding me doing something wrong that I shouldn't have been doing. So instead of just manning up or admitting that I had fault, I started yelling and screaming. I was punching holes in walls and doors, and I went to my nightstand. I grabbed a gun, and I sat in the shower while screaming at her with a loaded gun in my head, ready to take myself out of existence. I had thought about it previously, and I just felt like I was worthless. My life was collapsing underneath me, and all of a sudden, a guardian angel was sent to me. Her 3-year-old daughter walked around the corner, rubbing her eyes, and I'd woken her up, and I immediately dropped the magazine, cleared the round, and I'm like, Kayla, get this gun away from me. And her daughter goes, Daddy, why are you upset? I'm like, oh, Daddy's just going through some stuff, baby. I'm okay. And she goes, well, when I'm upset or sick, you always take care of me and make me feel better. What can I do for you? And she crawled into the tub with me and hugged me and smiled and kissed me. And that was the moment that actually saved my life. But I knew that the engagement was already done. I knew I had screwed up beyond repair. So I ended up going out on a wild night on the town. She had my buddy pick me up. I was with him and his 4 kids and his wife for like 4 nights. I got a text one morning. I was just going out for a drive at 10:30 in the morning. Next thing I know, I'm at Wheelhouse downtown, and ran into some friends from college. They were like, hey, we got cocaine. Have you ever done it? I'm like, no. I left his house after he trusted me with his family. When I left at 10:30 in the morning, I didn't show up until 6:30 the following morning. I'd been awake the entire time. Completely drove there drunk. I did Uber home, so I was at least responsible in that aspect, but I didn't know where I parked my truck. Couldn't find it. I was lying to everybody. I was just doing what I wanted to do. And that night made me feel awful. So I called my dad at 6:30 next morning, and I was like, I was getting it from all angles. And I thought about it again. What does the world get from me? Why do they need me? And something hit me. I just moved into my apartment. Things got a little bit better, and then they got really bad. So when I first got sober, I was sitting on my patio, and I had 2 wrought iron rocking chairs. And I was finally like starting to feel like the grace of God and my newfound spirituality and my sobriety, and I was like, you know what? Just because things have gotten this low, it doesn't mean they can't get better. So I chose the fight instead of flight. And I'm sitting there in those wrought iron rocking chairs, and I got my beats on. It's like midnight. I'm cranking up my music. I'm like going through my list. And I was like, man, this is weird. I'm like, I never sit in the left chair. I moved over to the right, and that chair was rocking. When I got up, and I'm sitting there scrolling. 3 minutes later, the chair is still rocking. And I'm like, it's not even windy out. Like, the chair shouldn't be moving still. About 5 minutes later, that chair was still rocking. And I took my headphones off, put them around my neck. I looked over at this empty chair, and I felt the power that either God or a guardian angel was sitting there rocking in that chair next to me. That moment was when I realized I am worth it. And I don't ever want to put my family, my friends, or anybody else through what I have. And that moment is when I was like, I got to change. I'm going to mute myself because of the dog.
Oh,
Well, I want to know one question. Well, I got two questions, but this one I got to ask first. Did the chair ever stop rocking?
It eventually did, yes.
Okay, that's a little spooky.
well,
Okay, second question is.
go ahead.
Second question is, what age were you when you took your first drink?
Probably like 14, 15.
Well, I know why you're here. Would you like my explanation on why you're here? To fix my roof, man. When you gonna come fix my roof?
Once you do that, it'll be all. That's all you need. Your life's work will be done. Just fix this roof.
That's all I got to do. I'll do it. I can be out next week, buddy.
Man, just kidding, man. You know, man, I just the funny thing and how me and Matt met is just funny. I was calling around looking for a roofer, and this dude just started talking to me just off the fly, just like about other stuff. And we had a long conversation, nothing about my roof. So we just talking, and we just hooked up from that point, and ever since he's been a genuine guy, been a cool guy. I mean, I consider him as my brother, man, because this dude is just he has the same type of heart and compassion that I have for people. He just wants to help people and be better. And that alone merits me to just be like, look, bro, you gotta hang with me. You gotta be around me. And my thing is, when you're family, you do what you need to do for family, no matter where they come from, what they're going through. A friend, a true friend, stays there in good and bad times.
I'm
So,
not a good friend.
oh, you know what? You know what? I'm really praying about that. I'm really praying. I know you have some other issues right now, so you got some other concerns. So I can take the back burner in that one. So, but I mean, I
I'm
think
just saying,
about.
my life has been so devastated by drug use that's the one thing. Like I can, and fire. I can go through a whole bunch of stuff, but and I'm not talking about casual drug use. I'm talking about addiction. So
What is what
let
is
me clear.
casual drug use?
I'm talking about these people that's gonna be on my thing that I'm gonna have to talk to later. They're gonna be commenting later, and I'm gonna have to comment to them and tell them shut up.
Listen, see,
I'm talking about them people that's saying, "Oh, I only smoked weed when I was in high school." I
well,
don't
weed
smoke.
is not a drug.
Okay, can I get to my point?
Yeah, but clear that up because that's a plant. No, no chemical needed for that. But go ahead.
Ronnie, boy, that is like saying cocaine is a plant. It comes from the cocoa plant.
Yeah, but it's added. Things are added to them. Those properties are
But
added to that to
nonetheless,
produce that.
nonetheless, though,
But that
the
go.
basis of it all,
Go
just
ahead. Go
throwing it
ahead.
out
Go
there.
ahead, Ice.
I'm just gonna do like this because I can't get my.
Go ahead, Ice. I
Cause see,
apologize.
cause we know people that if I cut you off, then they gonna be saying, "Why she cut you out?"
Mm-mm. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ice.
Cause we got listeners that think I ain't supposed to say nothing
Go ahead, Ice.
on my show.
Make your point, Ice.
Let's go, baby
Okay.
girl. Floor is yours.
so addicted peoples. Let me just say it like that. Is that black enough, peoples?
But we'll take it.
Okay. Addictive folk. I just can't. I've been through so much with that one instance. Like I can't. We don't have enough time on the show for me to tell you everything that went down with that. But let's just tell you, it was pretty bad. It was so okay. I'm gonna say it like this. It was so bad, you would have thought that I was on drugs too. So, and this was me trying to maneuver through this system that I was being introduced to. Because that person figured out that I was bougie too, that I come from, that I was white bread. So it was a lot of stuff that they could, well, a lot of stuff go over my head anyway, but like they really figured it out and used it to my disadvantage. I didn't learn how to use curse words really good until I was with this person. Now I can cuss better than you or anybody else in the building.
I will
Okay.
you to that one.
He's a
Okay,
professional.
that's
huh?
how badly this was. So no, if you're addicted to drugs and alcohol, I can be nice and cordial now. I don't have to be violently rude. But as far as having you around me in my life, helping you, no, I'm still not gonna do that. Man, I'm gonna need you to not drink because I like you.
I am way
Can you
better.
not drink? I hope. Can you not drink? Do we need to throw some holy water over you or something?
No, I just need to keep doing what I'm doing and
Okay.
going to my meetings, work with my sponsor, work on my steps, and it makes me
Okay.
a completely better person. I was at my little sister's wedding in Chicago. This was on August 19th. I was in the wedding as a groomsman. I was on the party bus that we were taking us to all the pictures before. There was the rehearsal dinner the night before. Everybody was drinking, everybody's drinking, everybody's drinking. And now I'm at the point where I'm strong enough that I can be around all that without ever wanting to drink. I was just sitting back, relaxing, watching everybody else act a fool. And I did that all day, all night, and then all day and all night. And we were on our way from the last photo shoot to the wedding, like the ceremony. And my brother-in-law's brother threw a beer to the back of the trolley where I was sitting. He missed it because they're all drunk and uncoordinated, smokes me in the chest. I'm like, get me off this fucking bus. That was like my point. I'm like, I'm done. So anyways, it was a lot of fun, beautiful wedding, beautiful ceremony. And then I stayed for the father-daughter dance, the first dance. I was able to walk my mother down the aisle. She'd asked me because she's so proud of everything. Man, if I was still drinking, I don't think she would have asked me. I don't even know if I would have made it to the wedding, to be honest.
You think?
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
all right, right.
And
Right.
I,
First of all, you got to have coordination to get down the aisle,
shit.
and people who drink, coordination is horrible.
Well, I said my goodbyes to my family and my brother-in-law's family and everybody at the table. They've known me for years, all my sister's friends, their boyfriends and husbands. And about 9:30 at night, I was like, I'm catching a ride out of here and I'm going back to the hotel and I'm going to bed. So I did, called my girl, talked to her, said good night, and another sober day in the books.
Yep. I appreciate that, Matt. Also, here's a little funny part. Matt actually called me to be his black sponsor. He called me while he was on his bed, and I was like, "Sure, I'll make sure you do right." I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just calling them just as friends, man, just checking up on them." Like, man, he's like, "Man, I'm on my way to my sister's wedding, and this is gonna go on, that's gonna go on." And like I say, he called me a couple of times before, and he was like, "Man, I'm cool, everything's good," and he had a good time, made it back safe, had fun with his family, man.
Yeah, when I was up there, we was drinking water, and that his water wasn't even spiked. His water wasn't even spiked with gin or vodka, nothing.
Who
It
puts
was real.
gin in water?
It was. I'm talking about the water bottle. It was water in the water bottle, y'all. It was water because I was checking it out. He had water in the water bottle.
I know you were smelling it. You were making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, he around good people, man. I appreciate it. So like me, I'm gonna have to speak to the issue of once again bipolarism and different things. So one year I was at a particular church playing, getting ready to play and everything, and I was outside, and this young lady walked down the street, and I invited her into the church or whatever. And she was like, "Nah, I don't want to come in." Blah blah blah, and she was like, she walked maybe probably feet and turned around and just came back and just started. She said, "Can I talk to you?" I was like, "Yeah, I got the time." So she dropped a whole bunch of life issues at my door. Whole bunch of life issues. Things that she was going through, things that she did, things that she was doing. I mean, just crazy information. Now I don't know this person from a can of paint. Don't know him at all. Conversation, what she said to me, it prompted me to do what I do now. She said, "Thank you for listening, because if you didn't listen, I was on my way to commit suicide." Some people just need an outlet for somebody to hear them. They don't need you to make judgment. They don't need you to make criticism. They don't need you to be like pointing the finger. They just want you to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And it might save their life.
Yeah.
Well, whether you're using, there's still a real thing. It's depression. And if you're already depressed and you're using, well, alcohol and some drugs are depressants, and this just pull you lower.
Yep.
To the point of your breaking point. And I've been affected by it in my life, and I thought about how negatively it affected me, because I felt like I never listened, or maybe I didn't do something right, or I could have stepped in or intervened. And I have a couple really good friends of mine that I've been talking to that have reached out to me. And it kind of goes full circle, because if I was drinking or using, I wasn't communicating with people. I was in my own shit. That's all I cared about. And over the last year, even the last 2 months, I've had 3 friends reach out to me that were about to hurt themselves. And I was like, you know, I I've made phone calls to their families. I've gone over there. I've talked to them, and the most rewarding thing I think I've ever had in my life was I won't mention any names, obviously, but after they were taken off the 72-hour hold, they called me and they're like, if you didn't do what you did to just listen to me and force my ass in there to think, I don't know if I'd be here. I'm grateful I am today.
Just listening.
That's all you got to do. It's the most simple thing you could do. It's
just listen. I remember one of my friends, one of my other musicians friends from Oklahoma, and me and him, he was actually in St. Louis. This was a while ago when we was in one of the music workshops, and we had a mutual friend who battled with depression and bipolarism and schizophrenia. I was like, this is just this right here is just over the top. So he called my friend Philip, and Philip answered the call and he said, man, listen, I'm going through some issues and I need some help. So Philip goes over there and talks him off the ledge. And he was all right. A week went by. Same situation happened. Some in his family didn't want to deal with the situation or didn't know how to deal with it. I'm gonna say it like that. How to deal with the situation. So he calls Philip, but Philip couldn't make it. Later, we found out that he had pulled the trigger on himself and killed himself. That alone changed my perspective on mental illness and how it affects everybody around you. I mean, good guy, very good guy. If he could have found the way to get the help that he needed, but he was to himself, he was so beyond repair that nobody could help him because that's what he believed. That was his mental capacity, that he's beyond help. So he figures that his only way out is to end his life. And that is a sad place to be for anybody. Because whether you are a drug addict, alcoholic, you have mental problems, your life is worth so much more than your problem. And that when you know that your life is worth more than the problem, you can what some of the old people say. They say you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go to work and start to make small changes, to do things to better your life. But you have to first know that it's worth more than that. And I see people go through stuff and get off into things, and then sometimes they never recover from that. Sometimes people do. It take a long road. And it's so funny what our parents used to tell us, it take you a little bit to get in something, but it take you a lifetime to get out of it. It's crazy like how the cycle is. And then, like I said, it's a vicious cycle. I know people running around the city right now that were prominent people, but now they're addicts. You know what I'm saying? I know people who are on jobs that are functioning addicts, but that only lasts for a little while. That's only gonna last for a little while because eventually that's gonna show. I don't know. I just hope people get the help that they need so they can be beneficial to the people that's around them. I mean, that's like for real for me to even be on this show and talking about stuff like this is freaking insane to me, because my thing is what makes a person who's not doing drugs start to do drugs? like, like
So the main cause, the, the main cause, we're talking about mental illness and all of that right now. Most alcoholics, it has been found statistically that most alcoholics suffer from major depressive disorder. So that's different from bipolar, that's different from minor
mhm,
depressive disorder.
mhm,
Most of them suffer from major depressive disorder. So that's when an individual has persistently low or depressed mood, decreased interest in pleasurable activities, feelings of guilt or worthlessness, lack of energy, poor concentration, appetite changes, okay, sleep disturbances, suicidal thoughts, all of which Matthew described.
mhm.
Okay, so major depressive disorder, MDD, and it's usually on a level 5, DSM level 5.
See,
Okay,
I told Matt that I would love to attend Alcoholics Anonymous meeting with him, and because it's just information that would be good to know, to understand like how that works, because you never know who you're gonna run into, and if you even go into those type of positions, you can do what you need to do,
right.
and try to help and talk to people about it, that they would learn something and maybe it can help him as they go on through life. So I'm uh interested in going to one when he gets some time. And I would love to go just to gain information, because you never know what you can learn about it. That might help somebody on along the way. That's all it comes down to. And just as he, as Matt being my friend, I would just go and help and support him also. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm,
saying? Because he's my friend.
mm-hmm.
you know
Right.
so I'm interested in that, so because I'm all about information. Learn as much as you can, because when you die you forget it anyway.
Yeah. The dog's neighbor's dog is just running in circles, barking constantly, and they won't
You
break
should have
it up.
put the muzzle on the dog.
Shit, I'll do it myself. Uh,
Anyway,
no,
so
you guys both are more than welcome to come to a meeting with me. I think every single person on this planet can benefit from AA, whether you are an addict or not. You talk about the 12 steps and 12 traditions. You talk about gratitude. You talk about your spirituality. People misconstrue it for a religious program. I mean, they do use the word God a lot, but it just depends on what you consider your higher power. There's a chapter called We Agnostics, and it's in the big book. And it's really interesting, honestly. We do big book studies where there's speaker meetings. Actually, first week of November, I'm going to be speaking. So you'll get basically 30 minutes of my entire story. I talk about how I grew up, what happened, and where everything changed, and then what it's like now. So
I actually read the book. I actually read the whole book,
Which book you read?
the AA book.
This
Yeah,
is it a big book?
it's a big book.
I would think.
Yeah, it was actually really good. Actually, it was a good read. So
Okay. I'm gonna check it out. So gonna listen, we gonna get ready to wrap this show up, this segment up, but Ice, would you have any regrets about doing a part two to this? What you think? We think we should do a part two? I think we should do a part two.
okay, whatever.
I mean,
I'm
you know,
down.
I mean because like maybe we can get somebody that Matt knows who could come on and be like how it affected his family. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody that, that they went through it with him. And, they're glad that he has changed. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep supporting
Look,
him
this is
and
T. Listen, this is T.
you
Who we
know
gonna get, Matt?
I'll, I'll say this before I gotta jump off here pretty quick.
yeah, we finna wrap up anyway.
But one of the coolest things I ever experienced was being at my sister's wedding, and my entire family was there. And my little sister gave me a hug before I left, and she goes, "I got my big brother back."
That's a plus. That's a plus, man.
That brings
That
tears
is
to my eyes. Last week you thought I was going to cry. This week I am crying. That
it's
was
all right.
that was the
We
coolest experience.
we ain't gonna
You
talk
with
about you.
You with friends? I'm glad I got my brother, my new brother too. I'm glad I got my new brother,
Who is your new brother?
Matthew.
Okay, wonderful.
Hey, I love y'all. I
That's
love
why
you
he called me
up here.
baby girl.
Hey, hey, it's all good. So listen, we want y'all to like, subscribe, and follow to Insane Rhetoric. This has been an experience because if you have heard our shows, we go off on a lot of different things, but we also don't play no games when it comes to trying to help people and move forward and change their life. Because, like we say here, the world is insane. And it is a lot of stuff that's going on in our world. So we want you just to like, subscribe, and follow. We want you to check on every platform. We're on what is it? Amazon Music. We're on freaking Apple, Google Music, wherever you can find your podcast platform. We're on it. We're in several different countries, so I mean, we are heard literally around the world. You can find us on Facebook. You can hit on Twitter. You can touch us on the gram. Whatever you need to do to like, follow, and subscribe, please do so. And you can also check us out and hit us up and leave comments because we go back and check our comments and make sure that people ain't wanting us to talk about blowing up some new building because
I'm gonna
my
report you.
co-host will call the police on you.
I'm a tattletale.
And I would just sit back and laugh you go to jail. So, I mean, I'm not going to be a part of that.
Just go back and listen to our episode on January 6th
Yeah,
of
so,
Capitol
yeah,
Rise.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I will
yeah,
report you.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm,
Anyway, come
I'm
on,
not,
let's go.
I'm not going to do that. So, all being said, Matthew, we thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you.
being who you are. We thank you for being on Insane Rhetoric, man. But most of all, we send congratulations out to you for doing your day-to-day justice and being who you are because really you are a genuine person, man. And I appreciate that. I mean, and you're fun to be around and you know how to take a joke.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna talk about the type of jokes, but you know how to take a joke.
I got thick skin, boy.
So do I. I think it's because it's black, but I ain't gonna.
Well, I'll tell you what, Insane Rhetoric, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I look forward to the next one. So,
All right.
token white guy out.
All right, just remember to enjoy the ride that is Insane Rhetoric. We'll holla. We